Hello, dear students. Today we are going to discuss attitude and the factors that influence attitudes. Before going through this topic, first let us have a look on its objectives. Understanding the nature of attitudes, understanding the different components of attitudes, and lastly, understanding the factors that influence attitudes. Dear listeners, attitude refers to the positive or negative evaluations or feelings that people have towards other people, objects, issues, and events. It is a tendency to react in a certain way toward a designated class of stimuli. These are the ways in which an individual thinks, feels, and acts. Attitudes are not observable. They can only be inferred from overt behavior of an individual. Although psychologists differ in their views while defining an attitude, yet they concentrate on the fact that attitudes are evaluative reactions to persons, objects, and events. This includes your belief and positive and negative feelings about the attitude object. It is also stressed that attitudes can guide our experiences and decide the effects of experience on our behaviors. Thurston defines an attitude as the degree of positive or negative effect associated with some psychological object. By a psychological object, Thurston means any symbol, phrase, slogan, person, institution, ideal, or idea towards which people can differ with respect to positive or negative effect. Freeman, while defining attitude, says attitude is a dispositional readiness to respond to certain situations, persons, objects, or ideas in a consistent manner, which has been learned and has become one's typical mode of response. Attitude includes the general way people feel towards socially significant objects, and most attitudes are lasting. Barron and Byron too agree that attitudes can be defined as lasting general evaluations of people, including oneself, objects, or issues. Attitude is lasting because it persists across time. A momentary feeling does not count as an attitude. Vaughan and Hogg do think in the same way when they define attitudes as attitudes are relatively permanent, persisting across times and situations. A momentary feeling in one place is not an attitude. Therefore, if you encountered a brief feeling about something, it does not count as an attitude. For example, if you were once bitten by a cat and you dislike the feeling at that moment, that emotional response is regarded as just a feeling. However, if your experience of getting bitten by a cat made you hate all cats, then your hatred for cats is considered an attitude that you have towards cats. In a nutshell, attitude is the general and enduring evaluative perception of some person, object, or issue. Attitudes are learned and they tend to perceive over time. Attitudes guide our thoughts. It is the cognitive function of attitudes. Attitudes influence our feelings, and it is the affective function, and they affect our behavior. It is the cognitive function of attitudes. Dear students, now let us learn about the components of attitudes. Attitudes are reflected in behavior. This behavior has three components, namely cognitive, affective, and behavioral. Terming it differently, we can say that the attitude is an unobservable psychological construct which can manifest itself in relevant beliefs, feelings, and behavioral components. Now, cognitive component. The cognitive component or element consists of knowledge and beliefs. It is the knowledge or belief that one has about an attitude object, implying thereby how we evaluate the characteristics of a person, object, or place. This evaluation could be positive or negative. For example, one may think that the ideology of a particular political party is good or not good. Affective component. The second component of attitude, namely feeling element, arouses one's feelings and emotions. It deals with the way one feels about the attitudinal object. For example, our liking or disliking for some person refers to the affective component of an attitude. We like some persons and we hate some others. This is based on our feelings. Feelings that unite and integrate people are termed as positive, while those that divide and disintegrate people are termed as negative. Now, behavioral component. Both knowledge and feelings urge an individual to act. The action tendency in an attitude enables others to infer the feelings and understandings. It is difficult for an individual to act in a manner contrary to his feelings and understanding. If one has a positive attitude about someone, his or her actual behavior would be favorable. One approves the behavior, defends it before others, and helps and supports them. The three components are interlinked. This may be understood when we analyze attitudes towards something. Suppose you love swimming and jumping into the pool brings a smile to your face. You also know that swimming is an excellent exercise and a great way to stay in shape and figure. You have a positive attitude about swimming. You love swimming. It is a great fun. These feelings highlight the affective component. The knowledge about the activity constitutes the cognitive component of an attitude. Finally, attitudes have a behavioral component. Our attitudes prompt us to do or say something. You change into a costume and jump into the swimming pool. Now, students, let's understand the different factors contributing to the formation of attitudes. You must remember that people are not born with attitude. From early childhood onward, however, people continue to form attitudes about new objects. The term attitude formation refers to the moment we make from having no attitude towards an object to have a positive or negative attitude. There are some factors which contribute to the formation of attitudes. Learning. The attitudes are acquired through learning. Many of our views are acquired in situations in which we interact with others or merely observe their behavior. Classical conditioning, a basic form of learning, or you may call it the Pavlovian model, in which one stimulus, initially neutral, acquires the capacity to evoke reactions through repeated pairing with another stimulus. In a sense, one stimulus becomes a signal for the presentation or occurrence of the other. For example, you may develop a positive attitude about a person who was present whenever you won a match. Players often develop a strong liking for the bat by which they made good runs. Advertisers use classical conditioning quite a lot by repeatedly pairing their initially neutral or unknown product with images or ideas that are known to produce positive feelings. like attractive people or beautiful scenery. If a song is popular at a happy time of your life, it is likely that your subsequent attitude towards the song will be positive too. Because of classical conditioning, you are likely to form positive attitudes toward stimuli associated with positive outcomes. Objects, people, or events associated with pleasant experiences may take on favorable evaluations, while those associated with unpleasant experiences can be evaluated negatively. In this manner, attitudes can be formed simply by association. This theory is often used in developing positive attitudes among students. They can be molded to behave positively to learning, school and society. Now, instrumental conditioning. Instrumental conditioning, or you may call it the Skinnerian model, in which the reward consequences of any behavior shape its subsequent enactment, is obviously relevant to attitude formation. It is a basic form of learning in which responses that lead to positive outcomes or that permit avoidance of negative outcomes are strengthened. It applies to the situations when people learn attitudes which are systematically rewarded by significant others, such as parents, teachers, or friends. The form of such rewards may vary greatly, ranging from praise, affection, approval to offering monetary rewards, jobs, and positions. If you express an attitude to a friend who then provides positive reinforcement by smiling, nodding, or expressing approval, your attitude is likely to be strengthened. On the other hand, if your friend provides punishment by frowning, disagreeing, or expressing disapproval, your attitude is likely to be weakened. Operant conditioning suggests that approval or disapproval will shape a person's attitudes. An opinion expressed in class that is followed by nods and claps will be repeated in the future more than one that is met with horror or disgust. Attitudes often stem from operant conditioning, as we are frequently rewarded by our parents, teachers, or friends for expressing the correct views, the ones they hold. Now, observational learning. A basic form of learning in which individuals acquire new forms of behavior or thought through observing others. Throughout life, we tend to adopt the views and preferences expressed by people we like or respect because we are exposed to those views and want to be like those persons. Children are keen observers and learn a whole lot of things from their parents and other family members. They learn many attitudes about other ethnic groups, neighbors, and ideologies simply by observing the behaviors of adults. Children who are exposed to particular attitudes in their homes, communities, and media duplicate them, especially if they observe the person expressing the attitude being rewarded. Albert Bandura, the most prominent among the social learning theorists, believes that we learn many styles of speech, skills of advertising, attracting audiences, impressing others, gambling, tricks, positive or negative attitudes and evaluations, etc., by means of observational learning. Now, family as one of the factors leading to the formation of one's attitudes. Of all the social institutions, the most responsible for the harmonious development of the child's body and mind is our family. It is regarded as the primary group responsible for training children in the art of living and molding their attitudes in various ways. Parents have an all-encompassing influence on the way their children come to form attitudes. Socialization is the process by which children acquire beliefs and behaviors considered desirable or appropriate by the family to which they belong. The influences of family go a long way with children. The family, as a primary institution, performs certain important functions like: number 1, children get their first exposure to the social world through their parents and other family members. Number 2, they acquire initial knowledge about the people and places from their parents and very often imbibe their value and observations. Number 3, family constitutes the primary source of information for children. Number 4, the young children learn by observing and initiating their elders in the family. For example, young children learn about the world from the stories told by their grandparents. And lastly, family is the primary group responsible for training children in the art of living and molding their attitudes in various ways. Now, reference groups. As the children grow older, the diversity of influence on their lives increase. They form opinion about many more people and objects. They come in contact with playmates, teachers, policemen, vendors, and more importantly with peers. These groups form the reference groups for children. Their circle of contact widens, and with each succeeding year, their interest in playmates outside home and family increase. Their interest in individual games gives way to group games. Their playmates, peers, etc., particularly the group leader, the gang leader, exert considerable influences on their conduct. The children learn a great deal from these groups. They imbibe attitude about occupations, social and religious groups, consumer products, national leaders, etc. Direct personal experience. Attitudes are also formed on the basis of our direct experience with the attitude objects. Forming an attitude largely depends upon our personal encounter with a man in the past. For example, a police personnel. If he was very kind and helpful to you, you tend to have a favorable attitude towards the policeman. If he had rough behavior towards you, your attitude may not be favorable towards all policemen. We tend to generalize from our past experiences. Meeting Shri Ram Krishna Paramhansa changed Narendranath Vivekananda and his whole attitude toward life and people. We all have such turning points which significantly shape our attitudes in a particular direction. The victims of criminal assault and social discrimination can hardly be positive in their judgment of the groups to which the perpetrators belong. Now, media exposure as one of the factors. In today's life, media has assumed a prominent place. Both children and adults often acquire attitudes from exposure to the mass media, television, magazines, films, etc. The exposure has become a potent way to learn about the world. Children are more impressionable. They tend to believe what they see on the TV screen. Seeing a favorable television character get whatever he wants by bullying people might foster an attitude that aggression is an acceptable way to achieve one's goals. Several studies have reported that high school children rate the mass media as their most important source of information. Most often then, not a given attitude is acquired as a result of a large number of experiences in a wide variety of situations involving either or both direct contact with the object of an attitude and social interactions with others. One's attitude may be developed gradually over the years by the accretion of individual responses that become integrated. Although many attitudes may be gradually acquired, one must not overlook the tremendous importance of a single experience. A child eager to imitate his father or someone else may accept a completely ready-made attitude about a political party or a social issue. Influence of community. As a child grows older, he is taught by adult members of the family and teachers to conform to the moral standards set by the community. He is induced to follow a large number of taboos, regulations and standard practice. This sort of moral control is essential for the survival of a society. In this way, community plays its role in the formation of positive attitudes. Society directs its institutions like family and school to inculcate moral and spiritual values among its citizens. Dear students, in order to conclude today's lecture, we must say that attitudes are lasting beliefs and evaluations about specific aspects of the social and physical world. They also involve memories of experiences with attitude objects, images of them, and mental frameworks for holding information about them. There are three components essential to the existence of an attitude: cognitive, emotional, and behavioral. An attitude is a predisposition to respond cognitively, emotionally, or behaviorally to a particular object in a particular way. The object can be anything from inanimate objects such as nuclear power plants to specific individuals or groups to action such as having an abortion. Attitudes play an important role in guiding how people react to other people, what causes they support, what politicians they vote for, which brands they buy, and countless other daily decisions. Attitudes do play a major part in determining a person's personality. This is because attitude affects the way people perceive and act towards people, objects, or events that they encounter. Besides that, attitudes can also have an effect on one's social interactions. With this, I conclude today's topic on attitude and factors that influence attitudes. Hope you have enjoyed this session. For now, it is time to say goodbye. Stay blessed and thank you.